Hello, this is Anjali Thompson. This is not just a PowerPoint slide of moving through the stars, the life and death of the stars. This is also a warning. Please do not wait to the last minute to try to do this video because so many things can go wrong. This is the 5th taping, and without my fish tank, I would be crazy. So let's get started. Even though this is not the last minute, this is the minute before the last. Taping 5. Once again, this is Moving Through the Stars with myself, Anjali Thompson. So let's go into the introduction. Here's my introduction, and I'll let you go over it for a second before I briefly describe what I will be talking about. Okay, well, the stars are composed of huge luminous masses in space capable of sustaining itself. And this is the VA nuclear fusion, helium and hydrogen gases. The essence of the presence composed to rely on the information between the stars. I'll be talking about the placement, the nature, and various aspects of stars. I will focus on relaying information to you about the stars, the nature, and different techniques. And I always believe if someone tells me something, try to look it up just for yourself. So let's go into what is nuclear fusion and how are these stars even formed. Let's watch a brief video. It's about a minute and a half.
Fusion is the nuclear reaction that fuels the sun and the stars. When two light atomic nuclei, such as deuterium and tritium, each a version of hydrogen, unite to form a heavier nucleus, like helium, the bonding process will release energy. Deuterium is composed of a proton and a neutron, tritium of a proton and 2 neutrons. The nuclei are positively charged and naturally repel each other. To overcome that resistance, the nuclei must be energized with extremely high temperatures so that they can collide with force. As temperature increases, so does the kinetic energy of each nucleus. With greater temperatures, each nucleus will move randomly at progressively higher speeds. When the temperature gets high enough, the kinetic energy of the nuclei overcomes the repelling forces and the two collide. The collision of tritium and deuterium yields a helium nucleus composed of 2 neutrons and 2 protons and a free neutron. But it also releases a tremendous amount of energy in the form of heat. The sun is a sustained fusion reaction. The challenge for physicists now is to develop sustained controlled fusion as a source of power.
Okay, so as you saw in the videotape of nuclear fusion, it is something that is being brought together. So it's not to be confused with the nuclear fusion, fission. That's a nuclear reaction of atoms. And the nucleus, when it splits and it breaks down, that is unsafe. This version of nuclear fusion, we're talking about nuclei that are joined, and this is a natural process. They both release a great amount of energy, however, in very different ways. The helium and hydrogen you can read more about in your textbook if you go to page 366 and read where it says the hydrogen mass is about 71% and the helium is about 27%. So in 366 in your textbook, you can read up more on the nuclear fusion. So going into what the stars are composed of, they're a part of the solar system. For instance, the sun, which is the most closest to the earth. Others only are visible during the night time, and from Earth they are sometimes appear as dense white clouds, hence the Milky Way. Similar to other planets comprising solar system, they are diverse in size as well as distance from each other, hence their variety pattern. And while we're on the point of what are we talking about? Okay, when it comes down to the diverse size as well as the distance from each other, I like to talk about William Herschel for a second. He was the first astronomer, tongue-tied a little bit, who had estimated the direct distribution of the stars in the sky during 1780s. He mentioned and monitored over 600 directions and documented it of each star along the line of sight. Being to date that it's over 600 million stars in the sky, I would have to say that this man was very determined, and you should read about him. His son also had that same determination as he passed it down, because his son later pretty much redid the experiment. He pretty much repeated it. So if you want to read about William Herschel or John Herschel, it's in your textbook. William Herschel is on page 94 and 95, The Discovery of the Infrared, and John Herschel, page 58 in your textbook. Now, as we say in the Milky Way, the Milky Way is a galaxy, and it contains roughly about 200 billion stars. Most of these stars are not visible. And the sun is about 26 light years from the center of the Milky Way, which is about 100,000 to 120,000 light years across. And just to think, the sun roughly takes 225 million years to orbit the Milky Way just once. And be reminded that the Milky Way galaxy is just one galaxy in a group of galaxies. And it's often called the local group. Many stars are there. You have the large cluster stars. These are relatively unorganized stars, and then you have the brainy star that also circles around the orbit of the ecliptic. And you can also read about William Herschel as well. He had his hands in the observation of the brainy star. So let's move along here. Okay, here you can see variable patterns. A variable star is a star whose brightness as seen from Earth, as they also fluctuate. There are two classifications of variable stars. The first one is intrinsic variable, and this star actually changes when the stars swell and shrink. The extrinsic variable is the luminosity of the star, which changes due to the amount of light that can reach Earth. If you look closely, you can see the difference in the luminosity of each star. This picture is of a variable stars taken in the Eta Carina in part of the stellar system. So as you can see here, just the different colors and the fluctuation of the luminosity in this picture. Here's luminosity at its finest. This is a picture of the blue straggler, and you can see the diagram by Russell and Edgar. That would be on page 350 or 351 in your textbook if you want to see how the diagram works. Basically define the stars' radius and temperature. Why these stars shine so beautifully. Here's a picture What is luminosity? It is the measurement of the amount of energy, total energy, emitting from the stars or any other astronomical object that shines just as bright in the sky. Let's talk about the life cycle of stars, which usually lasts about 10 billion years. And also, most of the stars in the sky are between 1 billion and 10 billion years old. So here we have a diagram which I fell in love with. And here it says the comparison diagram of humans' lifetime and stars' lifetime. Apparently they are similar, although we live that long. I did not make this, as you can see right here, but I did put the link below if you enjoyed this picture as I did. So here you have the proton star, which would be a fetus. And here you have infancy to adulthood would be the fusion and the main sequence stars. Middle age, the red supergiant. And here you have the white dwarf or the black hole. And this part indicates the end of life or close to it. Here you have the evolution of the stars. You can either go here from creation to end, or you can go, that's for the small star, or you can go from the large star, creation to end. Let's talk about it a little more in detail, and I'll also show you a video. Here we have the stellar nucleus. And at the beginning of the life, as you can see, and as you saw previously in the side, as a fetus, indicating life from the stellar nucleus. The dust clouds form a proton star and becomes the main sequence star. And I'm skipping around so you can read with me if you like. And the next stage is a red giant, a rather big or small at this stage. You have a cool dying star indicated here. The next stage reminds me of once a man, twice a child, because here how it starts is how close it ends up, dust to dust, pretty much, sort of say. It's like a rebirth. The planetary nebula, a colorful emission of gas, cloud of gas. Next up is the white dwarf, a hot little old collapsed star. Very tired looking indeed. A few end up as black dwarfs, brown dwarfs, or dead dwarfs, yet to be seen, with the end result being a cold and dead star and no longer emitting heat and light. Very few will end up a neutron star, supernova. Okay. Read it if you like. Okay, let's move on. And as I said, very few end up as a supernova. You might want to know. Of course you would. You can go into your textbook on page 396 and you can read about the different types of supernova. But let's watch a video real quickly of the life cycle of a star. And then we'll go into why most stars don't end up as a supernova.
Of course, a star may live for billions of years. And stellar age has nothing to do with lifestyle or heredity. It's all about size. Smaller stars burn cool and dim. When their fuel burns out, they just fade away. A medium star, like our sun, will burn steadily for some 10 billion years. But when it finally runs out of hydrogen fuel, and gravity grips the core harder, the star grows hotter, and the outer layers puff up, engulfing nearby planets in its fiery demise. Finally, the outer layers blow off into space, and a dense solid core remains. This white dwarf is a dying star. A bigger star, say twice the weight of our sun, lives hot and dies young. It burns through its fuel in just millions of years, and it doesn't go quietly. There's more material here for gravity to constrict. The star goes out with a bang called a supernova. Gravity packs the remains into material far denser than white dwarfs, called neutron stars. A teaspoon full of this stardust weighs more than a cruise ship packed with people. Some enormous stars gone supernova become so dense they turn into black holes. Think about it. A massive explosion leaves gravity unchecked, and matter is squeezed into something unseeable, stretching as far as miles and weighing incomprehensible amounts. Got it? Invisible but deadly, pulling in matter all around it. Even light can't escape. Not to worry. Supernovas are rare. A galaxy like ours, of 100 million stars, may experience only one exploding star in a century.
And that is why I said it's rare. If you see a supernova, because it's about, research show about 5 or 6 stars are ever reached the power or even to be a supernova. So if you see one in your lifetime, call me. And you can read this quickly. Oh, and I won't forget to leave the number at the end, because this is life and anything is possible. You can glance over this. And if you want to read about variable stars, you can go to page 374 in your textbook. And let's move on. Pretty much going over time here. Here's a picture from the telescope image of the Eta Carina from the Hubble space. Here is a closer picture of it. Let's see if we can zoom in to just get the impact of it. Oh. Okay. That's enough. Okay, this picture was a close-up of the Eta Carina in the 19th century. It had become the second brightest star in the night sky. However, it was short-lived. It erupted soon after, and it lost the mass, well, 10% of the mass of energy for the supernova, and approximately 10 times worth the sun mass. It is a miracle it actually survived this eruption, and it still remains today 100 times the mass of Earth. That's how I know anything is possible. Let's look here. This is the Kepler star. This might be a help to you. And if you ever want to measure the stellar masses by this Kepler law, turn to page 348 in your textbook. You can also take a quick look at this formula as well. I found this interesting. Calculating the loss of mass during nuclear fusion. So now you know the supernova is rare, but you heard about the supernova, the life ending of a star with a supernova, neutron star, or black hole. So here we go. I want to see you and see something so beautiful. There we go. Let's roll those credits. That's me. We moved through the stars. Yes, we did. I hope you enjoyed this video. Here are a few sites that I went on that helped me with my PowerPoint slide and was also interesting. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I won't be leaving my number. Thank you. Oh, and I didn't want to forget how I remember if it's a hot star or a cold star, because I always get that confused. So say if it's red, you're cool. If you blue, trust me, you're a fool. Okay, I had to add that. Toodles.